Welcome, Broc Lover here, and this is the Dunlop Motorcycle Tires Track Walk from Lucas Oil Stadium in chilly Indianapolis, and I have a great co-host, somebody so qualified, 10-time AMA Supercross champion, or a motocross Supercross champion, Hall of Famer, and a 4-time Indianapolis Supercross champion in the Premier class. So Ryan Villapoto joins us, and welcome, Ryan.
Well, thanks a lot, Broc. Yeah, we're sitting right here on the starting line here at inside the Lucas Oil Stadium. I'm sure everybody's seen some of the press day photos. The track's going to get really ready. We're going to take you on a tour currently, and we're going to walk around this and see what the track has got to offer.
Well, tell us about your new adventure here with Ricky Carmichael, the new podcast.
Yeah, Title 24. So me and Ricky, it's about a 50-minute show, analyzing, breaking down, kind of getting to the real guts of it. I think it's really fun for me. I really enjoy it. Same with Ricky. I know Ricky gets to broadcast this on the weekend, but it's fun to be able to get onto a show that you can be a little more, it's a lot more relaxed, and we can really kind of break down more of the racing. So tune into that.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I follow you on social media at Ryan Villapoto.
Yeah, and Title 24.
Yeah, and Title 24. Nice. So here we are. We're standing here. It's nice and calm. We're getting started a little bit early before the riders come out on their track walk in a few minutes here. But we talk about this start here at Indianapolis. For one thing, this is the shortest track total distance that we've raced on this entire season so far. It's 1,666 feet. So it is almost 200 feet shorter than the normal tracks. So that being said, we've got a crossway starting line, 205 feet to the first corner. But again, you mentioned it earlier, and we're going to harp on it all this whole track walk, the softness of the dirt.
Yeah, it's that was actually a topic on the show the other day on Tuesday, me and Ricky talking about it, being that we are back east here. The weather isn't the greatest during the winter. This dirt sits outside. Well, they bring it inside the stadium. It's 80 degrees in here right now. So if the dirt is any bit of frozen, or it's got lots of moisture, depending on how much rain they've had coming into this weekend, this dirt gets in here and it starts to dry out, or it starts to thaw out, and it makes it really soft. And that's why you see the ruts develop so quickly.
It did. Yesterday in press day, I was here watching a couple corners. They only rode part of the track, but they had one little corner here, and they actually ran down a section right here by the team manager's tower and the finish line that was not part of the track, but they were down into the so far into the base that they were into the plywood.
Yep.
And then they moved a barrier, a tough block out, had them change the line. They were down into that in a matter of just a session or two. It's going to be really soft.
Which is a very technical thing to have to deal with when you're trying to race and put all that power to the ground. When the plywood starts to show, it is literally like riding on an ice skating rink with these rubber tires. They're not made to ride on wet plywood, and it is like snot. So I can tell you that if that comes up, that's a big point that these riders are going to have to be smart and go around and be aware of the situation.
Well, speaking of this, so here's a corner right here. On the track map, it shows about a 70 or 80 degree corner. This almost looks pure 90 to me. And because of that, you've got a pretty tight, that's the optimal line right on the inside there. But if you get pushed out right here, this is going to be maybe the end of the race, or you're going to have a tough row to hoe.
This is going to be a very critical start. Like you said, very tight left hand, 90. There's not a lot of runoff here. These guys are going to come into the first turn fighting for position, and a lot of times the outside guy is going to end up out on the concrete.
So right here, a little roller out of the first corner. We also have KJSC, the KTM Juniors, coming out here, so they'll be wandering around. You can see they're first out on track. I bet these guys have probably slept in their boots last night.
Yeah,
you're not old enough to.
No,
you never rode that.
I never rode that.
You're
no,
too old is what I meant.
But we'll see. Maybe the boys will be out here one day riding the same thing.
Yeah,
so.
The Villapoto crew, man. Maybe they come out at the same time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we'll see.
You got a couple little high energy little.
That's right.
Terrorists. I've seen some of the videos you've posted. So on the section here, a little roller, just basically wheel tap. What's your thoughts here? Do you think anybody's going to try to get up and over onto the tabletop that's right behind Abel there filming?
Yeah, I think they're probably going to end up wheel tapping and making this the tabletop jumping 4. So this would be a quad. And then double into the turn. That looks to me like that's going to be the quick line. If you end up on top of the tabletop, you're going to end up taking off a 5-footer into the turn, which is a lot of air time, which potentially could be slower. I think that them jumping the 4 in the middle here is going to be the quick line.
Yep. So you talk about right here. We talk about this almost each week. We talk about the 3 or the 5s. They measure approximately 3 to 5 feet.
Feet
so the
tall,
shorter
yep.
one are 3, then you got a 4 or 5 footer, so the high one. The 450 guys always want to get over the top of the high one. They don't want to take off on the high one because it sends you up in the air too high.
Yeah, it sends you up in the air too high. It's a bit harder to scrub and maintain that speed. So these guys will end up taking off from this tabletop and actually making this a quad and then double into the turn.
You got it. So let's talk about, we talk about the table. The takeoff is 1. This is considered 2, even though it's a downside 3 and 4. So to explain, sometimes people ask me like, wait a minute, how's that?
It's not a quad,
it's not
actually
a quad,
a triple.
Technically.
Yes.
Hey, we're just going with the vernacular that's used in the pits and it's used out here at the pro level.
Exactly.
So let's not get overly technical, right?
That's exactly.
So that being said, in here, you're talking about scrubbing. How the heck are you going to scrub in the ruts?
Well, you know, as for this weekend here in Indy, a typical scrub is actually when the tires kind of slide off the takeoff.
Right.
Well, because we're here in Indy and we know it's going to be ruddy, a lot of that scrub is going to come from the legs sucking up the motorcycle in that position. If these are ruddy, obviously when the motorcycle and tires go into the rut, you can't lay it over. You got to stay up vertical. So that's where the sucking it up with the bike and with your body is critical.
Yeah, you're talking about sucking it up. The guy that I really saw utilize that technique, and you probably did too, was Jeremy McGrath. I mean, he, to me, used that BMX background that he had to let the bike absorb and really to take some of the energy out of the bike so he wasn't launching so far. And you would see him routinely hit a triple back in the days before they were really scrubbing hard. But you'd see him routinely hit a triple, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 miles an hour quicker than the guy alongside of him, yet he would jump the equal distance.
Yep.
So he was really good at absorbing that energy and putting it back, and that's why he won so many championships. And I think he won 5 or 6 times here in Indianapolis, because we raced in the RCA dome. Do you remember?
Yes, was that the dome that was held up with the air, right?
It was
yes.
pressurized, and when you'd walk into that dome, I mean, literally your hair would blow back, it would stand up on end from the static electricity because they pressurized the dome. And a lot of the carbureted bikes back then, the mechanics would always say, oh, they run crummy in the dome, or they can't really figure out the jetting. But luckily, that was torn down back in 08, and we went to the Lucas Oil Stadium, I think in 09. And speaking of that, Chad Reed won the last of the original RCA dome races, and then he ended up winning the inaugural first Lucas Oil Stadium.
Wow.
So that's a nice little bit for Chad Reed.
Yeah, it is.
So coming out of this Dunlop bowl corner right here, pop off of this, and what's your thoughts?
Well,
here?
I see what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 5-footer, or 3-footers technically, probably 4-footers.
Yep.
Looks like they're going to come out of the turn, triple, and double into the turn or single into the turn. That looks to me like it's going to be the quick line.
So we talk about ruts. Again, we talked about at the beginning of this, we were going to talk a lot about ruts. So once the track starts getting rutted up like that, you want to go off rhythm sometimes, or are you just going to battle it?
Yeah, so it depends on, obviously, like you said, off rhythm and get to where the track hasn't been rode on as much. That all depends on, you know, how much slower and how bad the track's getting. Being aware of that situation, being able to be like, okay, I'm going to double into this instead of triple, then I'm on the off rhythm of everybody else where the track should be better. In theory, I don't know if it works out like that. There's going to be a lot of guys, obviously, probably in the B and C practice that will be double, triple. So it's all going to be ruddy, essentially, folks.
So having a plan is really important for a couple of things. For qualifying, after they do a little track maintenance, especially between the 2 qualifying sessions, there's a little break there, the open qualifying or open practice, then you have a qualifying A, qualifying B. Between there, they do maintenance there. So if you're one of the first guys out there on the track, that you want to lay down a good time early before the track
critical,
gets
yeah, it's
rutted.
very critical to lay down a quick lap time early in practice, because every lap that goes by on this dirt here, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. So you'll see a lot of the lap times come, the quick lap times will come very early in practice, and then the track will deteriorate even more through that 10 minutes.
And same plan for heat race. If you're in the first heat race or the second heat race.
Yep. So the first heat race tonight will more than likely, I'd bet money in that will be first gate pick, whoever wins that, because obviously there's going to be no tractors on the track after that. They're going to go to heat race 2, and the track will be a little bit obviously more broken down.
Yeah, it might be advantageous to qualify second quickest in both of the classes, because then you get the first pick in the first qualifier.
That's
so
right.
You can bust it out before the track, because even in a really, honestly, a 6 minute plus a lap, that many bikes, 20 riders on the track gets torn up quickly.
It does, and if you're looking for that first gate pick going to the main event, you better be quick.
Well, with a 90-degree first corner with no berm on the outside. A nice early inside gate pick's probably going to be a hot ticket.
It is.
So through the 7 rhythms here, we talked about all equal heights. So you actually have an opportunity just to put the bike, again, off rhythm if you want, or if you can do 3-4 or 4-3, whatever you can figure out to get.
And I think that's going to be an interesting part of the race here, this rhythm section here. If there is some different combinations, setting it up, which is it quicker at the exit of the straightaway, or is it quicker to jump triple in, vice versa? We have a huge bowl turn coming into the whoops here, so probably could be a very good potential passing point here, getting up the inside and running somebody high before the whoops.
Okay, speaking of this bowl corner right here, Ryan, take a look at this right here. Not so symmetrical, is it? This is Rocky Mountain ATV MC corner, so watch it tonight on TV. But what you want to pay attention to here, it looks like the corner actually is a little steeper, tightest radius here, and then opens up a little bit. So this could be a pretty serious block back passing area here.
Yep, and you have this huge berm here that you can definitely run it in on somebody and have the stability of the track to hold you.
Yeah, and the width of this thing is huge. So you can come in early, turn down early, or you can come in tight and then come up late if you're trying to do the block pass there.
Yep,
So a lot of opportunities here. And we'll see, of course, this is going to be full of ruts by the time the race is done.
It is. One other thing I'm noticing, Broc, is how close they made the first starter whoop to the turn.
Yeah.
It looks, I mean, literally the edge of berm is here.
Yep.
And it looks like we got about 10 feet to entrance of the whoop. So
very
close whoop section to the turn this weekend.
So you see turnaround able. So we got Broc Tickle up here, who's a test rider for Kawasaki, also works with Jason Anderson and Adam Cicerella a little bit. And so he's up here videoing right here, paying attention. And speaking of Jason Anderson, we got Jason right here. What's up, bud?
How you doing?
How's it going with you?
Good.
Everything good? How you feeling?
Good.
All right. Getting ready. What's in for the soft route here today? A soft track?
We rode press day a little bit and it was pretty gnarly already. So I think just classic Indy.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw. I posted a little Instagram picture, a couple of things.
You got me falling
I
over.
know, I got you falling over. It wasn't your bad. It's just, hey, you saved. I want to say you saved it. Let's look at the positives.
Yeah,
so,
there you go.
all right, and I'm glad you saw it there. Yeah, a little tip over there, and just like held yourself. So good luck tonight. All right, Jason. Yeah, it's pretty funny. I was standing in the corner doing a little video, kind of filming a little bit, and Jason came in, and I saw him clip the tough block, so I just pushed picture, boom.
I did see that. Yeah, I got his foot peg hung up on one of those long tough blocks.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a live shot there, and he's tipping around for a bit. He saved it. So here we go. Dozer whoops. Oh, man, you call them dozer whoops, but these things are
really big, spread apart. But the entry looks like, initially they're going to be really probably pretty easy to do.
You stand there, I'll stand here. You think there's a difference in height there. I mean, these guys.
Exactly, yeah. So they're big, they're tall, they're spread apart.
Yeah.
Obviously still same good dirt conditions in these whoops, so potentially a major rut down the center.
Yeah.
Jumpers, we'll have to see what happens right before the night show. They will get the equipment in these things and spruce them up, but still by the main event, they'll be nasty.
How about, speaking of whoops, you and RC get it going back and forth on your podcast about having, RC wanted them all the same height, or he could just skim him, short leg guy. You're not the tallest guy. You're not playing NBA, that's for darn sure, but you liked him getting gnarly. And and of all people, RC wanted him kind of simple.
He was like, hey, I'd rather them build a set of whoops that's always the same, like this triple. It's a 65, or it used to be 65, now it's about 72 feet every single weekend. If it's any bigger, they let us know right after the riders meeting. But here he's like, I just would rather see the same set. And I'm like, well, that's just that is an added thing to Supercross, is what I said on the show, is like coming to Indy, going to Anaheim 1, go to 2, 3, 4, all these different races, having a different style of whoops, big ones, small ones, more spread apart. That is an added the technical side of it that you have to learn. So it's just like anything else. I like to see something different because it's a big critical spot. Critical spot is the whoops in our racing.
I agree wholeheartedly with you. You look at the history of the World Motocross Championships, and you look at even our AMA Championships in motocross. back a little while ago, the tracks weren't all the same. They didn't have all the simple tabletops. They had tracks you went to Florida or Southwick, you needed to learn how to ride in the sand. I mean, there are 2 times in my career I literally moved to Florida for about 5 or 6 weeks because I was from California. I grew up, it's kind of hard packed, but in my early years, I literally went and did all the Florida Winter Series to learn how to ride in the sand.
In the sand,
I did the same thing in end of 79, 80 because I wanted to get even better. Went there for 6 weeks with Bevo 40 and we just lived out of a hotel. And the same kind of thing. Nowadays, you know, you don't have to have the variety quite as much. And I agree with you. I'd like to see soft Supercross tracks. Hard pack like the LA Coliseum will probably be when we get there for the Super Motocross Championship. I want to see some different tracks, and I don't want to see them all cookie cutter.
I think it breeds and it develops different winners on the different weekends. Like this weekend here, Chase, we know he's really good in ruts. You know, so could be a really strong weekend for him to get that first win of the season. I think first win of the season, right?
Chase had 1 at Anaheim at 2, and then he's this would be his
second. And also with that points gap and kind of establishing himself back into that winner's circle is going to be huge. So they could watch for him this weekend.
And then Cooper Webb, I mean, he's on that every other year roll right now. He's just amazing riding. Considering Eli's had so many wins and Cooper's only had 2, yet they're only separated by, you know, just a small amount of points. So it's just incredible that all 3 of those riders have gotten themselves within the championship. Only top to bottom, I believe, is 10 points. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. And the more difficult the track, we saw an incredibly difficult Supercross track in Oakland. I mean, that was one of the hardest, most technical, just challenging and penal tracks that we've seen. And then we come to here and we have another track that could get really difficult, but mostly because of just the conditions of the dirt and the ruts.
Yep, and a lot of the West Coast stuff we race a lot of baseball stadiums. We are in a true football stadium this weekend. And it promotes different things when the Dirtworks builds the track. You know, this one is a little bit, like you said, it's the shortest one of the year so far. You know, and you brought up a good point last year. You said they lapped up to
6th place.
6th place.
Jason Anderson was 6th, and he's the only rider Eli did not lap on the lead and the top 6.
Yep.
And then 7th and 8th were lapped once, and then after 9th they got lapped twice. So you're talking about guys getting top 10 getting lapped twice. Mostly because the track, when it's this rutted, it does separate people pretty quickly.
Really bad, yes.
One mistake and you lose 5 or 10 seconds, you never gain it back.
That, and then like you said, being that it's going to probably be in the high 40-second lap times, which is another thing that promotes lapping, getting into the lap riders very quickly.
Yeah, I'm thinking that these guys, last year they did 27 laps for the main event. That's a lot.
And because it's timed, right, it's those extra 7 laps, that's a lot of laps on a track that is soft like this, that's already at the 20 lap mark, probably has plywood showing, or, you know, the ruts are foot peg deep. They go an extra 7 laps last year. That's a big difference.
It is. It's a whole bunch getting dizzy out here. So again, we'll see what happens, and even the 250s will be over 20 laps, which is it's more than they're used to going. That's for certain. So coming out of this corner off the end of the whoops there, just a kind of a quick on-off table. Nothing fancy here. There's nothing to be gained by downsiding this table that I can see. But who knows? Maybe somebody.
It depends on how the track breaks down to Broc. You know, they might end up going up the inside roll and then double up to the inside.
Yeah, right, coming out of this corner
right
here.
Yeah, roll up the inside.
Yeah, this would get a nice deep rut right about where Trey Kennard's walking right there. So he's coming in, checking it out too. He's probably on the race line, Trey? And then
we don't race anymore, Broc. We don't know the race lines.
Yeah, we don't know yeah, exactly. Just on the sidelines. You're more than on the sidelines, man.
What's up, RV?
How are you?
Good.
Good, yeah.
Yep. Let's see, we have a little special Legends and Heroes Award, but we're not saying who it's for, but I think you're going to be part of that too.
I am going to be part of that. That's actually one of the reasons why I'm here. And then I got the text, hey, let's do track walk. So I'm here.
That's it. I appreciate it, man. That was the group. I know you and Ryan Dungey were also going to be here, and Jake Weimer, a group of guys coming out for this special Legends and Heroes Award and presentation. And you showed no problem. I think Ryan Dungey, he was going to fly up possibly on a private or something, but I think the weather's been kind of a little iffy because here we are in the dome. I have a jacket on. I'm starting to get hot.
It is warm. It is very warm.
And outside it was 34 degrees or something when I left the hotel this morning at 6:45, and it's chilly.
Cold. It's cold.
It's chilly
yes.
out there,
I mean,
yeah.
there's been years where we've been out there and we're all pitted outside and it's snowing.
Yes.
You know. So and then inside the stadium it's 80 degrees.
Yeah. So they bring a lot of the bikes in here because talk about that. Do you feel the difference between suspension being a little bit cold, and that's also in tires? It's no different. Trust me, mounting tires out there at the Dunlop pits in this kind of weather is not much fun, and having cold tires, they don't work quite as well as
they don't. It's interesting. I know tire warmers are a thing in road racing, but not so much in our racing. But we do use them in conditions like this when the bikes are sitting outside that are in very cold. To warm up the rubber before it gets in here. It makes a big difference, along with the suspension. Like, if you got those bikes sit out there, I can remember having 2 to 3 guys help me pull to get the starter button latched.
Oh,
because they're already so stiff, just because that's what we have to run out here.
Yep.
But then they go out and sit in the cold, and the oil gets all cold and everything else. And good luck getting that starting device down without 2 or 3 guys.
Exactly. That's what Big B at Kawasaki today. He was earning his extra money then.
That's right. You better go up and do some curls.
You got it. So yeah, no question. So we're coming up to the triple right here. We talk about basic triple. This is kind of a basic triple. You know, you mentioned 68 to 72 feet is the blueprint, and that's about what they are. And you guys, once the first green flag starts, you guys are jumping it on the first lap. So.
Most of the time, yeah, but we'll see. Obviously, we're going to bring up the ruts again.
Yep.
68 to 72 feet, like you said. Nice, decent run into it. So there's going to be the technical side of that is if the ruts do get really deep, it's going to be actually better to not race into the triple as hard.
Right.
Take your time actually on the double into the triple before you take off. And then give it yourself a little bit of a second before getting on the gas, because if you race into there, the suspension compresses, you drag your foot pegs, and then the bike ends up wanting to go over the bars. So if you can take your time early and then actually gas through the jump, now you go high, but at least you're jumping the jump.
Right, so it's a more smooth acceleration up to the face instead of G-loading right into the face and then compressing the suspension, dragging foot pegs, dragging frames. Old school bikes used to drag the bottom of their fork legs and stuff, and it was treacherous. I mean, the track that we used to race on that was so rutted in the old days was the Seattle Kingdome. You're a local Pacific Northwesterner, so that was your home race as a kid.
I can remember going and watching at Seattle, and it's very, it's very similar. It gets super ruddy and soft, and I can remember going to watch MC.
That's right. There you go. So that's talking about somebody who rode light on his bike too. We talked about that earlier in the other sections where he was able to. He was very good at that, and obviously in whoops he was good too. So coming off of this triple right there, and that was the triple. I actually took a Instagram photo of that triple too, and that was just a matter of about 15-20 bikes on for short periods of time, and they rode each one of them twice on press day. So it's going to be much more.
So remember, guys,
bikes.
Press day, these guys are out here learning the track for the first time, getting to see it for the first time. They're basically getting the blood flowing. They're not even riding. They're getting their combinations down of the triples and the doubles and the double triples and the triple triples and all those things. But they're really not riding that hard. And by those photos that everybody's posting and Broc's talking about, it shows you how treacherous it's going to get after 25 to 27 laps, whatever we end up tonight.
Yeah, exactly. By the end of the night, this track's going to be hammered. So hopefully we'll get out, take some photos, and do it. So talking about tire selection too, this is another one where riders might opt in the 450 class to go to the narrower 110/90 over the 120 width, because the 120s is another 10 millimeters roughly. And that being said,
that could make a big difference in the whoops. Grabbing in the whoops. Some guys like to, like you said, size down the tire a little bit so that they don't get that side to side in the whoops if they are really grabby and ruddy. So it just helps the bike turn in those ruts sometimes a bit more. It'll be interesting to see what riders opt for that 110 versus the 120. What do you think, Broc? How many do you think will
it's gonna be,
make that switch?
A lot of guys don't want to change. I know Eli Tomac will run his 120/80 that he runs all the time. Some guys will run the 120/90. But there'll be some guys asking about the 110. And also the other option is to go up a little bit in tire pressure. Keeps the tire, when you're talking about going into a face of a triple like that, the lower pressure squish out a little bit more, the tire gets a little wider, so then it gets wider than the 120, it maybe gets 130, 140, and we've all seen photos of tires that are squished out. That happens even at the faces of jumps too, so you can avoid that by going up a little bit in pressure as long as it doesn't get bouncy in the whoops, but if you start jumping the whoops, then you don't have to worry about it.
Doesn't matter, yep.
So this corner right here in the 450s was a no-brainer, triple, and it was just land one time in the rut. Got a lot of ruts across here, but the 250 guys, for some reason yesterday, were struggling a little bit more coming out of the corner to get the 3. So I was surprised with that. And we talk about press day. It's only a select few. They alternate who gets to ride press day. Yesterday, the premier guys that you saw Chase Sexton, you saw Jason Anderson, you saw some of the top riders. Kenny Roxon was here. But that being said, you really didn't have all the class, so it was hard to tell. In the 250 class, same situation. Not a lot of the championship contenders were riding here in the 250, so we didn't get to see, but I'll be really surprised if they're not tripling that, because you see right there, you've got, to me, it's about a 4-footer, 3-footer. It's not quite 5, but the third one is a shorter, lower jump.
Yep, and big giant bull turn. It looks like when you land off the triple, there is some space in between there, so be conscious of watching that. That could be some block pass area, people coming up the inside, and then being able to triple. I do think, like you said, the lights guys, they'll be doing it right away, and we'll just see how it deteriorates and who can still pull that off through the main event.
I mentioned Ken Roxon. Let's go back a couple years ago. Well, this was the race that we were all on the airplane, and I remember being with the KTM group and some of the Husky Rockstar guys, because being out of Temecula, they fly out of San Diego. We landed in Detroit to get our connector to Indy, and bing, 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 everybody's phone goes crazy. And it's races canceled, races canceled, races canceled. Then it was a gigantic race to head to the counter and get your flight turned around. So we all turned around in Detroit and just went right back home. But the next year we come here for the residency, 3 races. Do you remember who won all 3?
I do not remember who won all 3, no.
Kenny Roxon.
Okay.
He won all 3 rounds in 2021. I mean, he's a 3-time winner, and he did it all in about a 8 or 9 day period or so. That was amazing. So you, 4-time winner, if you'd had residencies, what you could have had, maybe 12 or something? I don't know.
Honestly, I don't know. That's that with obviously them having to go that route. It was very interesting where these guys, I mean, Utah they had it, where most of those guys were in Utah for almost a month, a lot of them. Strange times. Glad we're out of those and we're back to normal, and we're able to go to all these great stadiums every weekend.
Yeah, this is like the 3-year mark of the pandemic. That's crazy. I'm glad it doesn't seem that long, but unfortunately it's been longer than I wish it was.
Yes.
So coming out of this corner right here, and we just pop off a pretty simple jump. It might be an advantage to try to get the little knob right there. If able, you can turn around and see what we're looking at.
It looks like this was an afterthought, Broc. Did they push this in a little bit? Was this more of a single yesterday for press?
You know what? I didn't know. It's pretty kind of about what it is, but you can see some tire tracks there. But that's probably those guys that got that call from Sean Brennan from Feld. He's the public relations manager, and he calls him up and says, "Hey, we've got a local news station that wants to shoot a segment.
5:30 in the morning.
5:30 in the morning. Be here, ready to ride with your gear on." So, speaking of our 3-time champion, there we go. He's running away. We don't have to bother you, man. So it's good. No, we were just talking about different courses and different tracks and things, and you get there and you just feel good about it. Ryan won 4 times here. You won all 3 rounds in that 2021 residency. 2021. To win all 3 rounds like that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's warm.
It is. Oops, sorry. I know, we're all sweating. So how you feeling? You rode press day yesterday?
Yep.
So everything good?
Everything great, yeah. I mean, obviously the track's
going to be ruddy.
Softer than soft.
Yeah, so very good. Well, good luck tonight. We'll hope you do well. Get there, get back on that winning streak. Whoop, come down the jump. Get past that. We got the 2 teams, LB, Larry Brooks. How many championships have you won, right? You worked with a lot of top riders over your years, from James Stewart and all the different likes. And
I'm fortunate to work with good guys.
Yeah, well,
they
you're
make you look good.
Hell of a team manager, in my opinion, so good luck with it. And I know you just started this job this year, but it's coming around. Teams can come.
Need to win some races. We'll see what happens, but we're happy so far. Been working hard on the bike. bike is coming along. So.
Well, I can tell you one thing. Just keep reminding him. Have him go back and watch 2021 videos of him winning all 3 rounds here. So that's pretty good. All right.
Pretty good rider.
He's a real good rider.
How are you?
Yeah, right. All right, Larry Brooks, a new position this year. He came up, kind of went away for a little bit after he worked with James Stewart in the group there for a little bit, and then he worked for Bar X kind of quietly.
Yep.
And he's an excellent team manager. And then he got the call to the Progressive Suzuki team or the
a lot of
HC
experience. I
yeah.
mean, Larry's got a lot of experience. I mean,
Yep.
I think I raced with James as him as the team manager.
Right.
But I think the most, I guess, iconic would be when Larry was team manager for MC.
Yeah,
That's kind of where
Chaparral Yamaha
days.
days.
Yeah, Chaparral Yamaha with Big B as the truck driver
Yep.
and Larry as the team manager.
Yeah, the late 90s, right before the millennial. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. I remember that. Larry married a neighbor of mine, so I've been kind of
Okay.
close with him for a lot of years. So
Awesome.
I think he's one of the best out here. Real quiet about
Yep,
it, you know.
yep.
It's pretty nice. So coming off of the finish line, again, basic jump, come across the starting line here to get a little extra. Nice. We talk about this. Anaheim 2 had this section where it was real fast like this. This isn't quite like Anaheim 2, but I like some of these corners to be pretty basic, especially on a track that's so going to rut up so much that if you have too many obstacles and there's too many ruts, the racing, it's hard, people are just trying to survive the track as opposed to really racing hard against each other. And so this gives them a nice opportunity right there.
Yeah, I like this big, giant, wide landing on the finish line here, and depending on where they put the tough blocks for the mechanics area to stay behind, I'm thinking because of how wide this finish line landing is, that they will probably be able to sweep out here and get this on off for many laps until it gets real bad. Instead of going to the berm, they can come up the inside and get that on off if they leave them enough room to come out this way and open up this turn.
Yep, right here you're talking about coming a little bit wide, right into this Yamaha corner mark. I don't know, they must have the official name of this. I don't know, maybe you know what the official name of this corner marker is, but nice. They a little bit of a modern design to try to keep the foot pegs from dragging, handlebars from dragging.
Yep.
So with this much traction, these guys are going to try to come right down here, and they'll just pop in to about middle to out right there.
Yep, and then get that on off. Obviously they cutting the track down, they're making it shorter. If you're running out to the berm, you're just making the track longer for yourself. So if there's the opportunity to shorten that up and carry either the same speed or more, you're going to have a quicker lap time.
So speaking of shortening it up, we always talk about the king of the inside line, Cooper Webb.
Yep.
I mean, there's certainly last week at Daytona that he wanted that win so badly. I mean, you could tell, and I know as many races as he's won and as close as he's come, Daytona would be one for him, especially growing up a little bit on the East Coast. West Coast guys kind of grew up with some of the Anaheims, and those were the big ones for them. But the East Coast guys, and now a lot of people, winning Daytona is a big deal.
Daytona's, I think it's like an iconic motorsports park, right? So every time we would go there, it's always a big race. It's always tends to be around halfway around the season. There's a big talking point around that. Who's going to leave here with the win? And the stat is it's a very high percentage of guys winning Daytona that go on to win the championship in the end. So there's a lot of things going for Daytona. Let alone it's one of the gnarliest tracks and I guess iconic ones for our Supercross season. So to win that, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. It is actually part of, for those, and this is the 50th anniversary of AMA Supercross. Daytona actually had a Supercross style race years earlier. It was the 53rd running this time. So they started in 71, a long time ago. We talked about that last week's walk.
Yep.
But the Supercross started in 1974 as an official AMA championship that you were considered the champion. And it started with Daytona. So Daytona was the very first points-paying AMA Supercross. And then it went to Houston and LA Coliseum.
See, Broc's dropping knowledge for everybody right now.
Three-rounder was all it was. So Daytona was always a really big win for a lot of people, and it was nice. And I know you past champion yourself, so excellent job there. So truly honored to have you here. And the guy who won 250 Supercross, Adam Cincerello, he was born and raised there. And then your guy, Jake Weimer, we talked about Jake earlier, so he'll be with us tonight at Legends and Heroes. So
that's right. Yeah, it's going to be good. Getting all the old dogs back out.
Yeah, we're out here with, look at this. We've got Chris Bond, television producer extraordinaire.
Good, you?
There we go, yeah. All right, morning. So there's, had him yelling in our ear this summer, didn't we?
That's right,
You watched Hugo a couple of rounds. And Chris be yelling stuff. You're like, wait, I'm trying to think.
Exactly, yeah.
It's a whole other world.
That announcing thing is not easy for anybody that thinks it's easy.
Especially
It's
in the outdoors.
not. It's
You're
not.
sitting in a little trailer. You're not even watching the race.
Yeah, 7 hours of just sitting in one chair calling a race.
And you're looking at a monitor. You're not even out there seeing what's going on. So you did a great job at Washougal, by the way. And you did a great job here today. And thank you, Ryan Villapoto, for joining us on the Dunlop Motorcycle Tires track walk here from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. And this is a complete round because we're standing in this tight little first corner.
That's right, yeah. So we'll look forward to it. Tune in for this. Get on and watch tonight. It's going to be epic.
All right, thank you. And we'll see you next week from Detroit.